Grey Tie Studios has come through again. They've sponsored me another video to show off their part 2 of their Pilgrim package, which is basically some awesome extra parts to upgrade your Black Templar miniatures, especially all those standard units that they just threw into the codex that you need to make look more Black Templar-y. That's what this is all about. Wave 2 is all about Terminators, big armor, Thunderhammers, shields, banners, which is what I've decided to go for in today's video. So I'm going to take a standard Sergeant or Terminator Sergeant from the Leviathan box set, and I'm going to convert that into a Black Templar Ancient using their awesome parts. So this should be a really fun video. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first is I decided to 3D print a bunch of the awesome new pieces from their new bundle, which is of course kind of part 2 to their Black Templar series. I don't really know if I'm supposed to say Black Templar, but here we are. I decided to go for a banner so I can make a Terminator Ancient from a Black Templar force. I saw this banner and I just had to do it. So I 3D printed this, an extra gorget, an unhelmeted head, some new shoulder pads, some new like loincloth armor. I went nuts, loads of different parts. You'll see in a moment basically the cut down version of the Terminator that I started with and all the parts that I added to it after that. Obviously, I gave all the parts a nice clean, made sure there was no extra kind of molds or anything like that left over, and they were ready to be glued on. Then I jumped over to the plastic kit. Like I said, it was the Leviathan Terminator kit, and I took the Sergeant, and this is all I needed from him. The torso and the legs, that is it. From here, I glued on the beautiful banner piece, and I was really excited to see how the pose was going to work and if it was going to fit correctly and all that kind of stuff. And I was not disappointed. It sits so beautifully. It is such a cool piece. I love it. It's so big, it's so imposing, and it's so Black Templar-y. Here it is with all the extra bits, cape, shoulder pad, huge ornament on the top, downward sword. This guy is on parade and looking awesome. And I'm very excited to start printing him or start painting him up. So first things first is of course to get him sprayed up. So I went for a standard Chaos Black and then Grey Seer Zenithal over the top of that. And then I'm just going to start blasting through it with some contrast paints. That's just going to lay down all the base coats and then we're going to work up from there. Now this is not the first time I worked with Grey Tie Studio. I in fact did a bunch of stuff with their pieces for myself before I ever did any kind of promotional work for them. So I've been a big fan before we ever actually worked together. I've done a Blood Angels Dreadnought, I've done multiple Black Templars Dreadnoughts using all their incredible extra bits and pieces. Obviously, I've got an incredible line of Space Wolf stuff, which may be of interest to some people in the very near future. I'm actually very hopeful to do some more work for them around that. I'd love to get a Space Wolf Dreadnought up and running using their parts and getting it ready for my new force of Space Wolves in the near future. As you can see, all the detail on these parts is super crisp and it is working a charm. It's taking the contrast so beautifully. And we're going to be left with a very, very Templary looking model. And that's kind of, when it comes to me in 3D printing, this is usually where my kind of opinions lie, what the perfect use of 3D printing is. And that is to take beautiful, already existing kits, like things like Games Workshop Create, and adding on awesome parts to make them sit in the more kind of unique chapters or stuff like that. So for instance, you can have a unit of Terminators in your Black Templar army, but all they offer you in the range of kits is the normal Terminators. So you can paint them black and you can give them some red crosses on their shoulder pads. But other than that, they're going to look like every other Terminator squad in every other Space Marine army out there. With the addition of all the awesome parts from Grey Tie Studio, they will certainly stand out and really feel like they belong with that chapter. This is actually not the first Black Templar Terminator that I've done using their stuff. I've got an entire squad of 5 guys already done. And I'm sure the other 4 from this Leviathan kit will get done up as well and form the honor guard for this particular guy here. They also do Dark Angels. Like I said, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, 2 lots of Black Templars now, so they are on a roll. They're doing quite a lot and they're very meticulous with the kind of parts they give you in their kit. They're very versatile and you can do a lot with them. If you're enjoying this video, you want to see me make more videos like this, make sure you show your support, give the video a like, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let me know what other things you would like to see me use the Grey Tie Studio stuff for in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. Obviously, there's quite a lot of extra detail on this, so although it does add an extra layer of absolute awesomeness to the model, it of course slows down the painting quite a bit because there's so many extra awesome bits to paint, which is fine. You always want characters and stuff to stand out and look awesome, and a Black Templar Sword Brethren Ancient. What a mouthful, but what a cool mouthful. It's definitely, I think it's ticking all those boxes. I did decide, of course, to give him Sword Brethren style colors because he is in Terminator armor. Terminator armor kind of indicative of First Company kind of indicative of like Sword Brethren. So that's why the crosses are red, all his cloth is red, the trim on the banner is red, some of the ribbons and purity seals are red. That's all kind of to do with the Sword Brethren kind of cadre of inside the Templars. I've already done another banner for Black Templars as it is. Obviously I didn't want it to just match that. I wanted a secondary banner for a secondary part of the force. So this, I think, works a treat. Okay, with all the base coats in place, I shaded the model all with kind of black. And then I usually go in and I give the model a light dry brush with silver. This is just something I do when it comes to my Templars. It catches all those raised edges and sharp details, add a little bit of weathering, a little bit of chipping to that black armor. And by doing this, you don't have to do anything else. So we black washed the model, we null and oil the model, and then we dry brush with a bit of silver, and that's the armor looking like clean, fresh, ready to go. Because there's so much other detail on this model, the eye doesn't go wandering looking for mistakes or looking for kind of dull armor panels. It just ignores them, and you just get left with this awesome piece. And I'm going to take some time though with this banner and work this up properly. So I've gone for Corvus Black, and I'm going to layer up all the black folds of cloth on the banner. Then I'm going to work through all the different reds. With the reds, I'm going to go the extra mile. There's going to be 2 or 3 layers of highlighting on that just to really make it pop. It's such an iconic color with this particular part of the army that I don't want it to be left dull. Obviously, I've gone for the Martian basing scheme for this army. It matches the rest of my force. And against the kind of dark army, the red base really does help make it pop. And I love it. Taking my very, very sweet time with the trim on the banner to get those nice, neat, straight lines. I cannot emphasize this enough. I need to be super careful because if you make any mistake with a bright red over a black banner, that is just going to scream out at you as a mistake. So that's not what we want to do. And this is definitely one of those pieces where if I deploy an army which feels this ancient, your opponent's going to want to stop and look at this model because he's so unique. Therefore, you got to put the extra effort in not to make any mistakes, or else they're going to spot them. My Black Templar army is now reaching kind of quite a large scale. I'm going to have to start adding in extra infantry units at this scale because I've got so many characters and elite units at this stage that it's a little bit unbalanced at the moment. So we'll have to see what we can do with some of the other releases. What other units would really suit Black Templars is the thought that gets in my head. I'm sure I can find a few things that I think will suit their aesthetic. A few more units of Assault Intercessors. Okay, as you can see, we're working up the last few kind of bits and pieces of detail on the banner. There is a beautiful, like, kind of blank part on the banner where I can add a transfer or some lettering. I couldn't think of anything at the moment. I haven't dug out my transfers and trying to find the exact right thing that I want to put there. I will find something and I will glue it on later. Sorry, glue it on later on. We'll transfer it on later on. But for the rest of this video, it will be left blank, unfortunately. But I will make it work after the fact. Painting up the face. Obviously, I've gone for an unhelmeted head as this guy's a character. He's an ancient one to stand out. He does have a circlet like a crown. Looks awesome. And he's got a nice gnarly beard. So we're going to go for really light highlights on the skin. I went for something a little bit extra with this and I grabbed a little bit of red pigment. I played this around the kind of boots of the armor in some of the chainmail. This guy's been kind of through the ringer and through the war, like dirtied up his cape and a little bit of the banner. As these guys are marching to war with explosions going off all around them, I'm sure debris and dust is going to land around them. I've done this kind of technique to all the Black Templars tanks and stuff, so it's not out of the question. It's not going to look weird. After that, quick spray of a matte varnish will seal all of that in place and give us our final Black Templar Sword Brethren Ancient ready to be deployed and fight alongside the rest of my army. I love how this guy turned out. I love the use of all the extra parts to create this kind of unique model that you're not going to see on every tabletop when you go and play in a tournament and stuff. So yeah, what can I say? A big thumbs up for Grey Tie Studio. I will link all their details down below if you want to check out their stuff, their My Mini Factory, all the other bundles, or their awesome new second wave of Black Templars. That will all be linked down below. You can check it out for yourself.